Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Step one today is going to be an imama tutorial. Bismillah. Bismillah. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Inshallah, please open the books and go down. Inshallah, I'll tell you exactly what page. If you read the pages, not of the PDF, but of the actual book, we are on page 9. So I'll recap, inshallah, while we wait for others to join us. And it is disliked to exceed the wajib area or exceed the number of prescribed repetitions for wiping and washing. So to do more than 3 is disliked, or to go beyond what is required is disliked. The person who is unable to perform one part of the wudu right after the other can pick up where he left off if the gap is not long, meaning that the limbs would not dry in a moderate climate. So if you were making wudu, you paused your wudu to do something and then you came back within a short amount of time, that's fine. However, if you pause for more than the time it takes for a limb to dry under normal conditions, which is about 1.5 to 2 minutes, you have to start your wudu all over again. This is not in the Hanafi madhab. In the Hanafi madhab, you don't have to. If you can pause as long as you want and you can pick up where you left off. The person who remembers missing a fard part after a long gap should do it when he remembers, and do it and do nothing else after it. But if he remembers shortly afterwards or while performing wudu, let me put this away from me, he should do the missed part and all of the parts after it. So if you remember you're still making wudu, you realize you reached your feet, you realize you skipped your arms. You go back to your arms and you continue from there. But if you forgot for a while and then you remember, more than 2 minutes later, then you just go back and do that one part and you don't do whatever's after it. If you've already prayed and then you remember a missing part, then your prayer is invalid and you have to pray again. And this is across all madhabs. If your wudu is not complete and you prayed, then your prayer is not valid. Okay, now here are the things that break wudu. By the way, whoever remembers a sunnah, it's still sunnah to go and do it. Like if you didn't rinse your mouth or your nose or wipe your ears, it's still sunnah to go and do it anytime, and that doesn't affect the validity of your prayer though. So now we are at the nawaqid al-wudu, the matters that break your wudu. So he says they are 16. I like to categorize them in groups. One group is the things that come out of the private parts naturally and normally, or things coming out of the private parts naturally and normally. And then number two is things related to unconsciousness, losing, lack of conscious body awareness. Breaks your wudu. And then category 3 is certain types of touching, and the Hanafi madhab, this does not apply. There is no touching except for intercourse that breaks the wudu. And number 4 is things that break ghusl, also break wudu, obviously. So here are the 16 uncategorized. Urinating. Number 2 is flatulating, meaning passing gas. Number 3, uncontrolled emissions when they occur rarely, which is if somebody has, releases urine or gas or whatever it is, that they have incontinence. It's uncontrollable, right? They're old, they have some kind of health condition. They can't control the urine that comes out of their body, comes out like a drop at a time, rarely. Then this breaks wudu, but it's not considered najasa for them. Okay? However, if it comes out for about half of the prayer day or more, then it doesn't even break the wudu. What is the prayer day? It's the entire day except for 1 quarter of the day. Which quarter of the day do we not pray in? Fajr to Dhuhr, exactly. So that's not considered part of the prayer day. That's a whole quarter, right? This is the sun, and when it rises, until it reaches its highest point, there's no prayer. That's 1 quarter of the day. But the other 3 quarters, we have our 5 prayers. So for the prayer day, you look, okay, well, during that time, this urine is coming out, like maybe once every 20 minutes for more than half of for about half of that time. Then now it doesn't break wudu. So it wouldn't even break wudu in that case. But if it occurs rarely, then yes, it does break wudu. Ejection, number 4, ejection of feces, going number 2. Number 5, heavy sleep. Heavy sleep is defined as when your sleep is deep enough that if something dropped out of your hand, or you wouldn't notice, or you wake up and you find your head down here. Sometimes you doze off and your head goes down and then you wake up like that. So that's not heavy sleep. You're still conscious of your body. So if you had a phone in your hand and it fell out of your hand, and then you wake up, your phone's not in your hand anymore, you have drool on your face, that's considered heavy sleep. In the Hanafi madhab, it has a different category. So if you slept a short sleep in the Hanafi madhab, then your position matters, right? So this is an alternate opinion. I'm saying this because this applies for like Pakistanis, Afghans, etc., which is a lot of you guys, mashallah. So in the Hanafi madhab, it's if you're situated in a place, if you're sitting in a position that gas is not going to come out by itself. Like I'm sitting right now, it's not going to come out. If I was sitting on my side, if I was laying on my side, it can come out, right? If the exit for it is blocked, it's not going to come out. If I have a short sleep in such a position, like you're a passenger in a car, and then you sleep for a little bit, then your wudu is not broken in the Hanafi madhab. For us, it doesn't matter short or long sleep. If you lose, the second you lose conscious body awareness, that something drops off out of your hand, or somebody says your name, hey, Umar, and you don't wake up. Maybe you're still getting used to the name though. You're like, Umar, oh wait, that's me. It's good that you chose a similar name, so so that he can still, like, the more will get you. All right. So heavy sleep breaks wudu. Pre-seminal discharge. It's also called, I'm not going to use the modern colloquial term, what's it called? Prostatic fluid. It's the clear fluid that comes out due to arousal. And that breaks wudu. In the Maliki madhab, there's an extra thing that you have to do, which is you have to wash the private part, and even in one opinion with the intention of ritual purification, of physical purification. So you have to wash, or even a ritual purification actually. It's like a mini ghusl, but it's only you wash your private part. Anyways, so that's the clear fluid that comes out due to arousal. And so again, that would require, washing the whole, the main part of the private part, let's just say, not the attached bits. Number 7, drunkenness. Again, because of lack of conscious body awareness. Number 8, fainting. Again, because of lack of conscious body awareness. And number 9, being possessed. Again, there's lack of. Number 10, post-urinary discharge. Some people, if they lift something really heavy, or they are, going to the bathroom, and number 2, and it's very hard. Whenever they apply pressure, a lot of pressure, then after there's this whitish fluid that comes out after urine. This happens to some men. For some people, they've never seen it before in their lives, and some people maybe it happens just once or twice in their life. But that would also break wudu. It wouldn't require ghusl, right? So it is not that other fluid. It does not require ghusl. 11. Now, so I said I'm going to categorize it into, number 1, things that come out of the private parts naturally, normally, and lack of conscious body awareness. So all of the things we went so far basically fall in those. Now, the third category, which here he just goes number 11. These don't apply in the Hanafi madhab. 11, caressing, meaning touching another person for intention, or finding sexual pleasure in touching somebody, or intending it. So the only case where you don't lose your wudu is the most often case where you're going to touch maybe somebody from the opposite gender. Like you give your wife a high five, you're handing her something, somebody, you're in a train and, a lady passes by you, touches your arm, whatever it is. Anything that is not is just a touch where neither sexual pleasure was experienced nor intended, that does not break wudu. But if it was intended or experienced, then it does break wudu. And as far as kissing, it's more strict. And by kissing we mean lip to lip. The only case where it doesn't break the wudu is where it's in a case where normally there is no pleasure derived, like a goodbye kiss, or a kiss of mercy. Somebody's sick or whatever, they're not in the best state, and so on, and to make them feel better. That's it. Number 13 is in regard to women, touching their private part from the outside does not break the wudu by the majority opinion, but there's a difference of opinion in regard to all of this in the Maliki madhab. Touching the inside, there is a strong opinion to say that yes, as he's saying over here, then it does break the wudu. As far as men, in the Maliki madhab, the stronger opinion is, and both opinions are strong and can be followed in the Maliki madhab, the inside of the hand or the sides of the fingers. If they touch the male private part, if you touch your own private part, then you would lose your wudu. Again, for Hanafis, none of this touching breaks the wudu. Number 15, doubting about committing an act which makes one lose purity. Meaning that you're like, wait, did I just pass gas? Then that doubt, on its own it breaks your wudu. But then unless you achieve certainty that you didn't, then your wudu is broken. Number 16, disbelieving for he who becomes an apostate after being Muslim. Somebody leaves Islam and then becomes a Muslim again, then that act of leaving Islam, their state of ritual purity was cut off. And it is wajib to properly discharge and clean the two waist openings. So when in Islam, very importantly, there's something called istinja and istijmar. I heard you guys reviewing it the other day. MashaAllah, that was very good. So a lot of Afghans, they confuse istinja and wudu. Istinja and wudu are very different. Istinja and wudu have nothing to do with each other. They each address different requirements for prayer. Istinja addresses your physical purity, which you have to be free from najas on your body, clothes, and place of prayer. And istinja is a means to remove the physical impurity from your body. Wudu has nothing to do with your physical purity. If you're completely filthy and then you stick your hand in pig's blood and then smear whatever all over yourself, you don't lose your wudu, right? So physical purity is one thing, and your wudu and your ghusl is something else. Okay? So istinja is when you use the bathroom, there's filth that is on your body, right? You have to clean your body. So here's how to clean your body. Wudu and ghusl, you could be perfectly clean, nothing wrong, but you have to make wudu. But you lost your wudu. Anyways. So he says, and it is wajib to properly discharge and clean the two waist openings, along with doing whatever motions and squeezing to, shake the male private part to empty its contents, but not to do this harshly. So basically, for men, you have to make sure that you're finished going before you leave the bathroom. Right? A lot of people that just go and then zip up and then leave. No, then for a lot of men, you're still leaking urine after 30 seconds to a minute. So stay until you're done. And then, if you're sitting on the toilet, standing up, moving around, doing a squat, shaking the private part, squeezing out whatever is in it gently, then that helps you make sure that everything is out. And generally, it's going to be the same for men, like almost every time. Some people it takes 30 seconds, some people it takes 1 minute, some people, they can sit down for 2 minutes, but then when they stand up, then a little bit is going to come out. So stand up, and make sure you're done. Okay. Now, washing with water, that's called istinja. Wiping with something clean is called istijmar. People used to use stones, but obviously now people use toilet paper. So what you have to do is, ideally you do both. And I'll go over what he says, and then inshallah I'll clarify. So he says in line 77, it is permissible to use non-water methods for cleaning the urine for men, and also feces for men and women. but not for that which is much and spread out. So if someone does, for women, when they do number one, generally it's going to go more than the area, it's going to touch more than the area that it came out from exactly, right? For men, it's easy to it just only touches the area that it came out from. So for men, that one area is the area that is excused, that you can just wipe it with toilet paper and you don't have to use water necessarily. But for women, they still have to use water because it goes to other than the area that it came out from. As far as number two, the same rule applies. If it's only the area that it came out from, that's the one area that has an exception, that you don't have to use water if you can't or you don't want to. But ideally you should. But let's say it touched, the filth touched somewhere else or spread out to other than where it came out from, then you have to use water. And that's the same regardless men or women. So ideally then, a person, once they're done with their business, for number two, you have some toilet paper. You wipe with toilet paper as far as that'll get you. And then now you're still not going to be clean, right? So then you use water to clean yourself. And if you want, even you can wet a toilet paper and then start off with that. But then the only way you're going to be 100% clean is if you can wet your hand, so not use a dry hand. You wet your hand, you can put soap on your hand, and then you can wash yourself like you're in the shower. You don't have to jump in the shower, you can do it over the toilet. But you can have, if you have a bidet installed and so on, that way you leave the bathroom 100% clean, right? You don't carry around the filth with you, because some people, they're like, oh, that's weird, like why would I wash that area with my hand and so on? It's like, what do you don't wash that area when you jump in the shower later. It's like, why are you going to carry that filth around with you for hours and hours? And then, that's not us. For Muslims, we clean ourselves on the spot and then we move on with our lives clean, right? You're not talking to a grown man who has, dirty doo-doo in their underwear. That's just weird. But that's the norm here, people, they'll do a couple wipes of toilet paper and then move on with their lives. That's not clean. Okay. So that's that. Ideally, you'd use both water and toilet paper. Now, here are the obligations of ghusl. Inshallah, we'll go through the obligations, the sunnahs, what necessitates of ghusl. Inshallah. It's just 1.5 pages, and then inshallah we'll be done. Alright. So what are the fards of ghusl? In the Hanafi madhab, very easy. Get water everywhere and rinse the mouth and nose. Everywhere, including the mouth and nose. That's it. Every madhab agrees that the water has to get everywhere, whether the mouth and nose are included. Only as far as I know, the Hanafi madhab says inside the mouth and nose are included. Okay, so that's the requirement of ghusl in the Hanafi madhab. We're studying Maliki, so this book is Maliki. In the Maliki madhab, it's different. You have to, there's plenty of chairs, sorry. In the Maliki madhab, the requirements are actually 4. Niyya, ta'mim, dalk, fawr. Remember I told you fawr, remember that term? Continuity, not having a period of time of about 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes where you interrupt your act of cleansing. So if you interrupt yourself for 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, then you have to start all over again. So in ghusl, that applies as well. In tayammum, it applies as well. So remember that term, fawr. Niyya, everybody knows, what is niyya? Intention, right? What is ta'mim? Ta'mim meaning to get everywhere. And dalk means scrubbing. So it's niyya, ta'mim, dalk, and fawr. So he says the wajibs of purification are, bathing for purification, are bringing to mind one's intention at the beginning, which we said the intentions are either removing your ritual impurity, fulfilling an obligation, or making the acts of worship that you cannot do permissible. Number 2, performing the various parts with continuity, which is fawr. Number 3, passing one's hand or an instrument over the entire surface of the body, which is dalk. And number 4, combing in between the hair. So it doesn't say specifically ta'meem over here, but it says dalk with ta'meem, like cover, like not just get the water, but to pass your hand over the entire body. Anyways, combing in between the hair. So you have to make sure that the water gets between the hair, and you have to stick your fingers in between your hair. You got that, Brother Umar? Not really a problem for either of us. So follow up with the hidden parts of the body, like under the 2 knees, the armpits, the crotch, and between the behind. So all of that area, if you let water if you pour a gallon of water on top of your head, it's gonna, or like 10 gallons of water on top of your head, and you're standing, your legs being how they are, the back of your knees is indented, and you have your thighs over them, so the water's not gonna get there by itself. The belly button, the water's not gonna get there by itself. Armpits, between the glutes. So all those areas you have to make sure, that you get them especially. Whatever you cannot reach just by hand, you can use a towel or something similar like a rope or a loofah that doesn't have soap in it, or a point. If you don't have anything and you can't reach it, then you can appoint somebody to rub it for you as well, or you can use the wall in that case. The sunnahs of bathing. Yes, go ahead, please. Yes, Chandra.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Are you allowed to open my mic on my end? Yeah. So I'm just made, and I'm late. I meant to come early. But what were you talking about? Are you talking about like shaving, or are you talking about making hoodoo?
I'm talking about making ghusl, and we'll talk about when ghusl is required. But ghusl is a special bath that's required in certain cases in Islam. The first time it's required is when somebody becomes a Muslim, and then it's required after that, when after menstruation and postpartum bleeding are done, also after intercourse or release of major sexual fluid. So in those cases where you need a shower, Islamically, you don't just take a shower. No, you wash yourself with that intention of ritual purification, and you have to. So in the Hanafi madhab, just make sure the easiest way to do it is the Hanafi way. You just get water everywhere, including the mouth and the nose. That's it.
Okay, so you mean like wash yourself with soap thoroughly?
No, without soap, with just water. You can use soap before or after, that's fine. But, and obviously when you use soap, you're gonna use water to rinse off the soap. So, but we're just talking about the actual one. The soap is not required, nor is it recommended, and so on. It's a separate thing that's done. This is just water.
The whole body, you mean?
The whole body. Everything.
Okay, gotcha.
All right. Okay, we'll move on, inshallah. And here we go. Line 81, sunnahs of ghusl. The sunnahs are rinsing the mouth, just like wudu, washing the 2 hands in the beginning, just like wudu, inhaling water in the nose, just like wudu, and wetting the holes of the 2 ears. Wetting the holes of the 2 ears. I would recommend, getting your lists off of Akhdari rather than Ibn Ashir, but anyways. Rinsing the mouth washing the two hands at the beginning, inhaling water in the nose, and wetting the holes of the two ears. So for ghusl, it's sunnah to so whatever the sides of your fingers can reach in your ear, whatever is shallow enough for the sides of your fingers to be able to reach is required. Whatever only your fingertip can reach in your side of your ear canal, like you would go like that, that's sunnah. Clear? That's it. Now, 82, it's mandubs. Our one beginning, here's a very important note on the fards. If someone has thick braids, if the water can pass through, fine, they can squeeze in the water and they'll be okay. But if there's like when I had braids, I had the rubber bands that covered the bottom. They were really, really, really tight. So I have to like roll them down and then squeeze and then roll them back up. So that way, otherwise it would be dry under there, right? So if people have dreads or whatever, where they're not getting their hair wet, that doesn't work. If people have whatever things they put in their hair, all of your hair has to be wet. You have to run your fingers through your hair as well, combing through the hair, getting water through your hair properly. That's a requirement. So if there are fake nails or whatever it is, any preventative barrier on the body, the toes, the toenails, anything will prevent water from getting to the nails or the skin, then a person would not be able to purify themselves and therefore not be able to pray. Obviously, for wudu and ghusl, makeup, right, becomes a problem. Okay, so here are the mandubs. Line 82. Its mandubs are beginning by washing the impurities, starting with saying Bismillah outside of the bathroom, washing the head 3 times, not once. Likewise, washing the limbs of wudu first before the other limbs, before going through the rest of the body head to toe, and before even doing the hair. And I'll go through the full order, don't worry. Number 5, minimizing the wasting of water. All right. I think it's like 2 liters of water, something like that.
Guys, clean up.
Prophet ﷺ wouldn't use too much water when he was making ghusl. I've been in situations where I had to make a ghusl with just a small amount of water. And starting with the top and right portions of the body, take these 2 recommendations. Okay, so I'm going to include and put words this book may be missing stuff. All right. So here he says you begin by this and this and this and this. You begin washing your private parts and then refrain from touching it with the inside or the sides of the palms. So what does that mean? If you want to do ghusl, step 1, say Bismillah outside of the bathroom. And then you can say the dua of entering the bathroom before or after that Bismillah. But a special Bismillah for your ghusl. Enter inside the bathroom. We're assuming you're going to make a ghusl in a bathroom, right? If your shower is separate from where you use the toilet, from your toilet, then you can say Bismillah inside the shower. And there's a case to be made if they're distant enough anyways that you can say your Bismillah in the shower, but anyways. So, Bismillah, and then wash your hands 3 times the right, 3 times left, before begin. Your ghusl still has not begun. Now you make your intention for your ghusl, and you start by washing your private parts first. So what would precede the private parts is Bismillah, and washing your hands right and then left, and then making the intention. Then you say Bismillah. Then you wash your private parts, and wherever else there's filth on the body. And then if you touch your private parts for the rest of your ghusl, in the Maliki madhab, your ghusl is fine, but you just won't have wudu at the end of your ghusl if you touch your private parts after doing the wudu part of your ghusl. So just be mindful of it. So that's why. So wash enough of a sufficient area around your private parts so that you're not going to accidentally touch them again with the inside of your hand or the sides of your fingers. Okay. And then now once you wash your private parts and surrounding area, then make wudu, a deeper wudu. So deeper meaning, in wudu, remember, running your fingers through your beard is not a part of wudu for Malikis, right? You press the water in for a thicker beard. A lot of times, even in the famous, the Akhdari translation we use, it says it indicates that you don't have to get the water to your skin. No, get the water to your skin by pushing it in. You don't go through the beard itself, like to go through the hairs all the way down to the end. No. If your beard is thin, then you have to do that in wudu. In ghusl, regardless, you're going to be doing that. And in both wudu and ghusl, the water should reach your skin. In wudu, through pushing it if your beard is thick. In ghusl, you run your fingers through, and anyways. So now the water reaches your skin. So, and when you do your feet in wudu, in wudu, it's recommended, it's not even sunnah, it's recommended to run your fingers between your toes. But in ghusl, it is required to run your fingers between your toes in the Maliki method. So you do that deeper wudu. Then, after you're done with that deeper wudu, now you're going to take care of the rest of your body. The rest of your body, head to toe. Right to left. So top right, top left, bottom right, bottom left. But first you're going to do shoulders up. Hair. And the head. So you wash your hair 3 times. And then you wash your ears and you do that, get the water deeper in. You just did them in your wudu, but now you're going to, get that in. Or you could get that in while you're doing your wudu, that's fine. And then your shoulders, your neck, make sure everything is done under here, all that. Now when you reach your shoulders, you're going to do the top right. Are you going to do your arms again? No, you already did those in your wudu. So you do the right top, torso, left top, bottom right, avoiding the area you already did at the beginning. However large the area is, if you did down to your knees, that's fine. So whatever you did at the beginning when you were washing your private parts, you don't repeat. And then, so bottom right, bottom left. And you don't do your feet again. There's one way that it's done where the feet are saved for last, but we're not going to make it too confusing now. So again, it's Bismillah outside of the bathroom. Washing your hands right to left, intention, washing the private area, making the full wudu and deeper wudu, meaning with your feet and with your, brushing through your beard. Then you're going to wash your hair 3 times and your ears, and stick your finger in your ear and turn. Actually, what's easier is you put water in your hand, like a scoop of water in your hand, or have the water run into your hand, and then you hold it like this, and then you dunk your ear in, and then you turn, and then you dunk your ear in, and then you turn. The wisdom of that, the water is not going to go inside your ear. So if you put the water like this, and you're going like that, you're going to get water inside your ear. Don't do that. So use gravity, like that. Then shoulders or neck, then you're going to do top right, top left, avoiding areas you've already done, bottom right, bottom left. That's it. Now here are the acts which necessitate ghusl. They are menstruation, postnatal bleeding, or also called postpartum bleeding. Number 3, ejaculation with pleasure. So the release of major sexual fluid with pleasure. So if somebody, for example, they had intercourse, and then when they were in the shower, they're finishing their shower, but then some small bit of that fluid comes out. Does that break their ghusl? No, it just breaks their wudu, because it's left over from their intercourse. But the one that broke their ghusl was when it came out in the first place. Okay, whatever is left over that comes out later is fine. It breaks wudu only. Number 4, the disappearance of the head of the male private part in a lower bodily private part of another person. Right? So that penetration, that is the one that requires that it means zina, or it the mahar would be paid fully, etc., etc. That's considered now full on intercourse. If it doesn't reach that level, then if there is a release, then it breaks ghusl. Otherwise, the ghusl is not broken. So the first 2 make intercourse with penetration unlawful until bathing, which means that a woman is menstruating or bleeding postpartum. Until she stops bleeding, it's haram to have intercourse from that area. And of course, lower intercourse from the other entrance is completely forbidden. Anyways, after she makes her ghusl, then it becomes permissible to have intercourse again. And the last 2 prevent one from reciting the sweet Arabic Quran, which is if somebody had intercourse or they released major sexual fluid, then they cannot recite the Quran except for protection until they take their shower. So if they have intercourse and they want to sleep, which is often the case, and they're going to take a shower in the morning, no problem. And they can still recite the Ayatul Kursi for protection and so on and so forth. It's just they can't be like, okay, let's hold the mushaf and let's sit down and recite and so on. And no, it doesn't work like that. Right? Inshallah, remind me next time that we'll do the things that are prohibited without wudu, without ghusl, and without. So now you're seeing, mashallah, the Hanafi madhab keeps seeming easier and easier and easier than the Maliki. Well, here's something that's a lot easier. So in the Maliki madhab, as we said, in the prayer you can make dua in whatever language you want, if you don't speak Arabic. That's in the Maliki madhab. In the Hanafi madhab, your prayer would break. So good luck if you don't speak Arabic, and most Hanafis are not Arabic. So what they end up doing, years and years, they never make dua in their prayer. They don't have those conversations with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in prayer. It's baffling. Another thing from the Maliki madhab that's a lot easier is women, when they are on their period, when they are bleeding postpartum, they can touch the Quran if they're learning, and they can recite as much of the Quran as they want. There's no problem with them reciting the Quran. So it's, yes, okay, we're stricter when you're making your wudu and so on, purify yourself, but talk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we're both, mashallah, purify ourselves better when we're getting ready to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we talk to Allah more in the Maliki madhab. So, even during a period, even doing whatever, it's like, talk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But when you're getting ready to meet Him, don't just rinse yourself with water, don't wash yourself and scrub and everything. Okay? So that's why the Maliki madhab is better. Anyways, I'm just messing with the Hanafis here, mashallah. All the madhabs are, alhamdulillah, great and have their unique, beautiful qualities. Okay. And the last sentence we have, forgetting to perform parts of ghusl is the same as forgetting parts of wudu, except that you do not need to perform all parts after a missed part if you remember shortly afterwards. That's it. Any questions? Let's see here. For the purpose of knowledge, pap smear test requires ghusl. I would very much hope not. Because ghusl is only required if there's a penetration from the male private part into either private part of another person. Which then would tell us then if there is things that you're doing with your hand to her, or she's doing things with her hand to you, or other body parts and so on. As long as that penetration doesn't occur, then ghusl is not required until climax. So if you're just fooling around, and then you stop and you have to go and whatever, you just, if the clear fluid came out, you have to wash your private part and that's it. And then make your wudu and you're good. But you don't need to make ghusl. So then the question in regard to an enema or a pap smear, those are then procedures that are invasive. That first of all, if you have to do an enema for medical reasons, Sheikh Farid said you can do it. However, why would you have to have somebody do it for you, right? Get the kit, get the balloon thing, and go do it at home, right? You don't need somebody to do it for you. You don't need somebody to be doing that to you. For a pap smear, a lot of times they tell you to do it when you don't need it. If it's medically required Islamically, it is allowed. But if it's not required medically and you don't need it, then you don't do it. Yeah. So what is the average time for ghusl? Your ghusl shouldn't take you more than 10 minutes. He said 7 minutes. Yeah, 7 minutes. That's probably average. 10 minutes. If you're taking way too long and you're like going over the same area 500 times, then no, you know that you have waswas. And then just forget about scrubbing. If you have waswas, forget about scrubbing. Just take the Hanafi opinion and then and then the scrubbing is not required, and forget about scrubbing. Just make sure water gets everywhere, rinse your mouth and nose. How long does that take a Hanafi madhab? 1.5 minutes. Go under the water, make sure the water gets everywhere, rinse your mouth, rinse your nose, walk out. That's it. You're good. Yes?
You said sunnah to wash the body 3 times. You do the whole thing once and then you repeat that 2 times? Or each
No, washing the hair 3 times, not the body 3 times. Body is once, hair 3 times. In fact, in the Hanafi madhab, in the Maliki madhab, in Akhdari, he mentions that even when you do wudu and when you do wudu and during ghusl, you do everything of the wudu parts just once, and that's better than doing them 3 times. But that is a difference of opinion in the Maliki madhab. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi Shan, mashallah. I mean, izaz. Okay. Enema, does that break fast? I don't know. If it provides nutrition, that'd be the weirdest way to get nutrition. But if it provides nutrition, then it would. But if it doesn't, then it doesn't. If it provides nutrition or hydration, I don't know. That's a question to ask a doctor. Does it provide nutrition or hydration? Or maybe Dr. ChatGPT, All right. That's it for us then. جزاكم الله خير. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك. نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. Assalamu alaikum. Do you have to do ghusl after a wet dream? That's a great question. You have to do ghusl after a wet dream, yes. You do. But it doesn't break your fast.